What's up, everybody? It's Mike right here with Slam Academy. Today we're talking about loop modes in Operator in Ableton Live 12. This is a pretty niche one, and it's going to be really cheeky but super fun. So strap in and let's get into some cool sound design. Okay, so loop modes exist in a number of Ableton instruments. In fact, they're all over the place in synthesis in general, but I find that Operator has the most easily accessible and probably the most in any instrument. So if you've ever clicked on Operator A, B, C, or D, and you've just seen this little loop section, you might have wondered kind of what the feature is, especially if your envelope is in full sustain mode. You're really getting almost nothing out of that. But what this is going to do here is if I set this loop and choose a time, this is going to give us a little bit of delay in between each envelope. And we pull this envelope in a little bit and make some sort of pattern here. Let's get a little noise going on here. You can hear it essentially repeats the envelope. And this is pretty cool out of the gate, right? Any of our oscillators can kind of just like loop based on whatever I set this down to. We also have beat, sync, and trigger modes. I'm honestly just a big fan of the normal loop mode, just like keep it together with a little bit of decay at the end. But check it out, and we're going to see if this gets a little bit more tricky with the fact that actually looping is on pretty much every single envelope here in Operator. But we're just going to start here by getting a bunch of oscillators, or rather operators, just kind of firing up. And let's go ahead and pop the algorithm in parallel mode, so all four of these operators are just firing independently of one another. Let's give them all different coarse tunings, maybe even different fine tunings, so they just kind of like desync and also give us a little bit of cool harmonic overtones. And we'll just pop all of these up, and I'm just going to give them different envelopes. You know, if you're really wanting to make one big noise, you can always right click and copy an envelope for an oscillators A, B, C, or D onto one of the others. But I'm a big fan of randomness, and I just kind of want to make some weird sound design today and maybe overlay it on top of a little bass and a beat when we're all done with this. So let's just go ahead and put all of these in different loop modes. And you know what? Let's also maybe give these different waveforms. Let's give that one a saw wave. Let's do maybe a square over here. Maybe this one will get a little funky and just pop in some random harmonics in the waveform editor. We've talked about this in some of our other tutorials, but this is a really fun thing to mess around with. I'm just going to hit a note and we'll see what happens. Okay, that's pretty cool. It actually sounds kind of modular. I actually might want to pull this down a little bit, maybe to F1. Right, it feels a little bit random, but that's kind of the part of sound design. I'm just kind of surfing for cool noises today. So that's pretty neat already, but if we maybe grab the filter, let's pull the filter down to about 1K. I feel like that's a really great filter spot in general. And let's maybe put this in, first of all, I'm going to pop the filter drive on. And then we're going to put this over in morph mode. And I'm a big fan of morph mode in general. It'll kind of allow us to just move the shape around. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the LFO, and we're going to assign the LFO. We're going to come down to destination B, and we're going to assign this to filter morph. We can leave the LFO assigned to A, B, C, and D. This is going to get us some pretty varied noises. Might as well just try it to see what happens. All right, you know, that's a vibe. We could also just send it to the filter and maybe take it off A, B, C, and D. Maybe slow the rate down. Makes a little bit more sense to do that, huh? Then if I want to be a little crunchy, I could maybe turn the rate to key tracking up. So if I move around the keyboard, the rate will actually change a little bit. This might be fun if I jump octaves and stuff. Let's try an octave up here. That's pretty cool. I'm honestly pretty into it. Oh, we got to reset OSR here in the loop mode. Or in the filter, excuse me. Now, another thing I like to grab is the pitch envelope and maybe move this around. But check this out. We also got to maybe set these to all loop modes because all of these have their own independent filters. The LFO, or sorry, not filters, envelopes. The LFO has its own envelope. So let's set this to loop mode. This will be kind of cool. I would maybe caution against doing a very quick one over here. You kind of want that slow and low LFO decay at 37 seconds is it's a little long, right? Let's go ahead and move the filter envelope over here. The filter envelope actually has these nice kind of curves over here. This is kind of fun, more fun to set, in my opinion. And then we can put this in loop mode, and this is going to start sounding a little bit crazy, I think. Just guessing here, but this could go a little bit nuts. So let's maybe do something cool with the pitch and pop this in loop mode as well. And let's just hear what happens now. The pitch does a lot of work on its own to kind of make this feel crazy. So what you can do is maybe just pull back on this meter. Or you can also invert it, so you can make a kind of a pattern here, and then if you just want to hear what it sounds like reversed, you can always pull this down. What I actually really like doing is putting LFOs on the pitch envelope, and there's one more little spot here that I want to try out, so we're actually going to grab 2 LFOs here. I'm going to put these both in remote mode. We're going to map one to the pitch envelope right now, so it just kind of goes back from 100 and negative 100. We'll pull the rate down. What we might do is either put this to random or stray mode. Let's just try random for today. And then the other thing I really like doing, and this is a little hidden jutsu for you, is let's hit the map on LFO 2 over here, and let's go to the global time. So this is actually really, really crazy, because what's going to happen here is all of the envelope settings that we just changed and set to loop. We've got, let's see, 7 envelopes that are looping right now. All of those global time settings are going to move with one knob. This is actually a really powerful knob to be just in the know about using any type of synthesis within Operator, but especially when you're doing weird sound design and using loop modes, this is a really fun one. So let's go ahead and set this one to random too. And this, full disclosure, this one's going to get a little crazy. I'm going to move the rate up here as well. So let's just see what happens here. So that's pretty cool. I think we just need to maybe move the noise up a little bit. It's a little weak. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this saturator over here. Let's grab a little saturation. And then if we want to color it, I mean, the world is your oyster here. You can do whatever you want. This is sound design, so there really is. Are there any rules here? I don't know. I feel like no. I think a little bit of digital distortion with a redux could be a little tasteful. Let's pull the rate down here. I'm gonna pull the dry wet in a little bit. I know I use redux in a lot of these videos, but it is truly one of my favorites. And then some type of delay, either grain delay or echo, is gonna sound just absolutely absurd here. Grain delay is gonna give you a lot. Actually, both echo and grain delay are both going to give you a lot of cool pitch morphing in your delay. Echo here has repitch mode on by default, and grain delay by default is very based in the pitch. We could just try it out and maybe move this XY around. I'm going to turn the echo off for now. Let's go ahead and turn the feedback up over here. That's actually pretty cool. You know what? Let's send that through an echo. And the echo also, I love this about it, has a little built-in reverb. We're going to go ahead and, I know this is some renegade stuff, but we're going to turn the dry wet to 100% on both of these. Again, it's sound design, so the rules are out the window. The rules do not exist for this. So let's go ahead and have a little fun. I'm going to toss a beat in here, and we're going to see what we got. I'm going to maybe push the saturator a little bit more so it can match the drums and bass. Let's check it out. Wow, okay, that was probably the coolest 3-piece atmosphere I think I've ever made in a tutorial video. I'm super proud of this one. And there it is. I mean, let's do a quick review real quick. We're grabbing envelopes here. It's the thing you have to remember is that you need to set these envelopes to cool times that sound good when they're repeated, right? So I think that's a lot of people's confusion when they try loop for the first time. When you come down to the default operator A, it has that sustained envelope. You're not really going to hear much. So go ahead and change your envelopes before you hop into loop time. And also maybe try beat or sync mode as well if you want it to be a little bit more locked into the timeline. And then we went ahead and did the same thing for the LFO, the filter, and the pitch envelope, and we sent the LFO over to the filter frequency and the morph type, which is a real good move. And then, of course, don't forget about this global time knob. This is an absolutely huge hack. And also, quick reminder, we're in parallel mode. That doesn't mean you have to be in parallel mode. Parallel mode. Chewing my words there a little bit. Try another one of these Tetris theme shapes. Any of these can give you really cool timbres in your synthesizer. And then we just took some extra LFOs. We kind of ran out over here on the operator LFO and popped them over to the pitch and global time. We just treated it with a little saturator redux. Then we threw a bunch of delays on there and some reverb, and now we've got a cool little atmosphere. So that's it for today's video. Appreciate you checking it out. If you like this kind of content, be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe, share buttons, all that good stuff. And if you want to check out more stuff like this, head over to slamacademy.com and check out our programs. Hope to see you there. Bye.